Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Mega Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are conquesting yourselves and therefore conquesting things around you. It is great to be back. My friends, thank you guys for the comments, the feedbacks, the likes, donations, things like that. I really appreciate it. You guys are doing a great job of keeping a lot of this going. I really depend on you guys to kind of give me topics and things. And we got one from Ahmed today. Can you really recover if you are depleted? So we'll talk about that. But let's do some shout-outs first. Let's look at Donny Brown. Danny Brown, thank you, my friend. I think it's Donny Brown. Khaledomer 3986, thank you, my friend. Miss Plate. Celibate women, we'll talk about that one of these episodes as well. Chexsta, thank you. Singflyy, thank you. Dermothynes, thank you. Amacheick, thank you. Lykkos, thank you, my friend. Alvin, thank you. TKO, thank you. God's Gladiator. Donny Brown, thank you, my friend. Aqoonqaate, thank you. Christink, 123. Lionzhaven, thank you. Radioear, thank you, my friend. MBGE2VL, thank you. 200 days. Keep it up, my friend. It's great. JDS, 2056. CJ, thank you. Lykkos again. Scott Allen, thank you, my friend. On the boosters, 195 days at this point. Keep it going. Donny Brown from Germany, thank you, Donny. That's 3 of them, I think. Jon the Dawn, thank you. Dermothynes. Dawson Bayer, thank you. Reinhardt Bieler, user, and Flex Williams, 2 years. Congratulations, my friend. Keep it up. All right, so now at the 1 minute 45 second mark, let's talk about this topic from Ahmed. So, can you really recover if you're depleted? So I guess we first have to kind of define terms. We're talking about depletion of all your energy. And you see people like that in, later in their life, they've been releasing so much over their lives that they're at the point where they have almost very little energy. It's almost like a gas tank where all of a sudden you're almost at empty, okay? You're almost at empty. Now, can you refill that gas tank? Okay. The answer to me is yes. Now, I have never been that depleted, so I'm kind of saying this more hypothetically than in actuality. I can't tell you an experience of mine, but I could tell you in doses where you get depleted, you can always come back and recover to some extent. Now, if you've been doing this like 47 years like I had, then it takes a little time to kind of get back. You can never lose in my mind, by retaining. You can never lose by starting the process. I don't care if you're 20, 15, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. You're going to have some positive effect, no matter what point you do it. Now, obviously, it's like a gas tank. If you start filling that gas tank back up, you'll have at least some gas, in this case, some energy to be able to go on. The trouble with most people, when they're in this state, and you see it a lot when people who have, mental, issues, when they have, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, all these things that I think are caused, in part at least, by poor sexual behaviors over the years, they don't recognize that the sexual behavior is the problem. It's almost like the idea of vampires. I remember this from the movie Dracula way back, and Bela Lugosi was my favorite actor of all time back in the old days. And there was a part of that movie, and then someone said it, I can't remember who said it, but in the movie they said, and maybe it was Van Helsing, the power of the vampire is the fact that people don't believe in vampires. That it's just not something in their mind they can fathom because they can't see it. And in their human mind, they can't believe something is that powerful that can just, live on blood of people and suck people's blood and all kinds of stuff like that. They can't live. It's out of their realm of thinking. And this is the problem we have in our society. This is why people don't critically think. I think this is one of the number one problems we have in our society through our education system. And I've been in the education system for 40 some years. We don't have people who are learning how to critically think. We're dumbing down the education. Obviously, behavior issues, especially inner city behavior issues, are a problem. But the issue really becomes the fact that we don't have people who are using more than their 10% of the brain. And part of that is because they're not keeping their energy. The lecithin inside their brains, they're starting to lose a lot of energy because they lose all those nutrients that come out when they're actually releasing. So the combination of pornography, sex, all these things are dumbing people down to the point, and then the school system's not helping. And so basically what you have is people who are not thinking. So they're not going to believe, unless they're superstitious, they're not going to believe in something like semen retention. And again, this is why we have 1% of the people. So to go back, Ahmed, to your question, the question is a good one. And the reason why it's a good one, it goes back to the idea of faith. The faith in the fact that you believe that this is possible. You believe this is possible. Those who are listening to me, some of you may still have doubts. Some of you guys may not believe it at all. You may think this is all kind of crazy. But the idea is that the first two steps are the crucial ones when it comes to getting yourself back to, I think, a normal and then godlike stance eventually with retention. And the first one is a commitment. So a lot of the people that we're talking about here, that Ahmed, I think, is talking about, and you see it, they're depleted, they're emaciated. You see all these people going through the world, and you could just tell. If you think in terms of what we're talking about, their lifestyle probably was reckless for many years. And they probably lost a lot of their energy, which is why now they have very little energy. But on top of all that, they're probably still doing it. And the effects on their body continue to get worse and worse, until they realize they've caused their own demise because they've lost their energy. And they don't even, and most people don't recognize that till the day they pass away even, that this was the problem. Because they've been brainwashed and talked, and they believe, because they're not thinking about this like we're talking logically, about the nutrients and losing the nutrients and having a strong enough set of nutrients to create a baby, that of course you're going to lose, you're going to affect your body, you're going to affect yourself. But when people don't think in those terms, and I didn't do that for 47 years, so I'm no better than anybody else. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Warrior 2 here, I mean, I've learned after 47 years, so I'm the last one to talk about, critical thinking and judgment. I mean, I got fooled into this for many years. But I think the thing is, we have to get the younger people and people talking to start thinking more about what we're talking about here. The idea is that when you lose your energy, you become less of a person. You lose your brain power. You lose the physical prowess you have. You lose that masculinity. And so what happens then is that you have fake masculinity. This is what they call that toxic masculinity. It's not really real. A real masculine male does not have to tell people they're masculine. People can just tell by the aura, by who they are, that they're masculine, they're high value. People can just tell that. They sense it. And this is what happens on retention. Now, Ahmed's talking about this idea of depletion. I think it's a great topic he's bringing up here. Because again, we all make mistakes. Whether you're making a mistake off monk mode, no fap, just starting out, we all make mistakes. We all can get depleted. Not to the point where you're totally depleted, right? Which I think you're talking about. But the fact being is that at any point, you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to continue working with this. And I think God works with us differently. It takes time. It took me time by steps, progression, to get better and better when finally I said that's it. And I think we're all in different stages. But if you have that faith in your Creator, and you know that this is the path you want to take, the commitment is the first key to this. And if you're committed, then you're going to see some positive effects. Now, if you're 85 years old, 95 years old, and you're depleted and you're emaciated, you're probably not going to see the types of effects. It's going to take a long time, and depending how long you're around, you may end up making some benefits, but it may not be enough to keep you going for a lot longer. Obviously, the semen is what keeps you young, right? The semen is what keeps you young and youthful. And I really believe that now. And so you don't want to lose any of that. You want to transmute it. You don't want to let it just sit there and do nothing with it. But you don't want to spill your energy. And the bottom line then is that as you keep your energy, you're going to build yourself up. Now, if you're totally emaciated and you're going to still build yourself up. Whether or not it's going to be enough to get you back to a healthy person, I don't know that because I've never been in that situation. But I do know that anytime you start, and if you're like most of people who believe in it and really want to make a change, and they're maybe ill or having trouble, I have seen this work many times for people who are suffering. Whether it's suffering from physical illnesses, mental, I have seen this work because once you start keeping your energy and you're keeping your nutrients and it's healing your body, there is a healing process. So some of this can work. So my answer, Ahmed, to you is that I believe yes. The answer is yes. I believe you can recover. Now, I have not seen a case where a person was totally emaciated and decided to just make a turnaround, later in life, and it become totally well. I haven't seen a case like that. I'm sure there's those out there. But I also have seen thousands of cases where people had a little bit of loss, an illness here, a physical ailment here, and as they've changed. And let's take my example. I had a lot of eczema. I had knee issues. I had arm issues. I had finger issues. I had back issues, tremendous, all kinds of issues that when I was playing football back in high school and college that I had. Now, once I started doing this, especially during the monk mode the last 4 years, all of a sudden, I have no issues at all. I could swim laps during the morning. I can walk. I can walk 30,000 steps a day, 30,000 steps a day. I end up, having a calorie deficiency. I can do a lot of things that I didn't think I could do because I had a lot of physical problems because I feel like, well, that's it. You're just getting old and that's it. But the thing is that just because you're getting old, it's a mindset. But if you're committing to this, all of a sudden, this is a renewal of life. I think this is what we're talking about when God talks about re-energizing and renewal of life. You're keeping God inside of you. And I think this is what all this stuff is. God is inside of you. All these nutrients and things He's given you, this is Him. He's inside of you. And are you pouring this out, and wasting it? I did for many years. I know. So I think you can recover, Matt. I think you can. I think the question then becomes is that how committed are you? And number two then, what about your habits? We go back to these 5 steps we talked about before. What about your habits? Are you willing, when you're committed, to change your habits? And I did. I went to bed earlier. I got more involved in exercising, work, all kinds of different things, family, to keep away from the television set and the internet. I very rarely visit those. Once in a while I will do that, but I will stay away from a lot of tempting types of things that can tempt you, because those are the things that can get you in trouble. As we talked about in a previous video, and the nighttime is dangerous. I try to go to bed early, get up early in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, either swim, walk the dog, do different things, and get moving fast enough so whenever these type of thoughts come through, I'm doing something with it. I'm exercising, I'm doing something to kind of use that thought pattern in a positive way than sitting there and just waiting for the temptation to hit you eventually, because it will. Whether you're playing a video game, it sits there. Whether you're watching TV, it sits there. You gotta really make sure you're always moving until at least to the point where you overcome it. Now, in my case, with 47 years of it, I've built in a lot of negative habits. And it takes me a while. For you guys, for only maybe a year or so, and you've had some issue a couple of years, you can easily kind of start a good habit now, and you can recover pretty quickly. So I think the recovery is quicker. It's almost like this guy Wolverine in the X-Men. I mean, you can recover, but it's going to take you a lot longer, especially depending how many years. If you had 60 years of this and you're 80 years old, it doesn't mean you should quit and not do it. You could do it at any point. I don't care if the day before you think you're passing away, you can do it. You're not going to get the same effects as someone who's 20 years old, maybe only did it for a year or so. It's going to take a while. But I always believe that you got to make the last effort every day. Do the best you can do until you cannot do it any longer. And I've always said this. I said this when I was playing football. I said this all over. They're going to have to carry me out, because I'm going to keep trying, keep doing things every day until the last day, because I want to make sure that I'm following God's will as much as possible and doing as much as I can to help God with this world that we have. And so that's why I do these videos, and that's why I do different types of things like that, to try to help that. Because in my mind, that's what matters the most, is getting people knowledge and understanding in this world that's one big illusion, one big matrix, we always call it, right? That people are told things, but they're told things for a certain reason. For profit, for people to give money to things, to take advantage, to get power over people, to tell people what to do. The real issue here is if you go back to just how you feel. And I have had thousands of people now, over the years now, 4 years, talking about the fact that when you do this, you have great benefits. It may take some time, but you can see it within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you see benefits coming. It depends a lot on how long you were in that state, because mentally you're still in that state. Those things are going to come back to you all the time. So it's a continual fight. For me, it's a continual fight on monk mode, because I'm still got images from 47 years to deal with. Some of you guys are younger. You only have a couple years, and you could probably be able to deal with a lot faster than I can. Now, fortunately, I've been able to master enough of the NoFap and all the other stuff to not even think about that aspect of it. But again, I had to use like mechanisms, mind mechanisms, like thinking of like my wife or my sister, my daughter, something like that, and try to keep it away from or skin and bones, or bones and things like that, to kind of think of women in a different way so it wouldn't be affected. But the whole thought pattern, guys, is that you have to keep your energy. Your energy is really the fountain of youth we're talking about here. Kendler didn't say that, I think, in those books, because basically I think he didn't want to turn people off, because when people think about this topic, they just think, well, it's a theory and there's no science here, there's nothing like this. But if you just think logically, that's all you got to do. Think about it logically. If you look at what semen is made of, and you look at all the nutrients and the fact that you can have a child, you are helping in making that child. You are fertilizing the egg. You have to have some powerful, strong stuff to do that. This is why men are different than women. Women have feminine energy, which is very important, and men have masculine energy, which is very important as well, for different functions and different types of things. And when they both come together, obviously you can have a child, a beautiful children, which is what God intended. But the thing is that you cannot sit there and say, okay, I'm going to throw that stuff away. Just because I'm told it's pleasure here and there, I'm thinking more about me than I'm thinking about God or the things around me. And we're all struggling with the addiction part. I struggle with addiction. I'm still struggling with addiction in parts of my thinking. But the thought pattern is key. You got to continue to control. So Ahmed, I think it's great. I appreciate you bringing up the topic. I think it's a very important one to look at. I don't think you should ever give up. I don't care where you're at in your life. 50, 60, I don't care if you don't see anything for a year. It took me 2.5 years to really see any kind of benefits I'm seeing now. So it's going to take time. But there's the two key points, the two steps that are key to me is commitment. Make a commitment that this for the rest of my life, I don't care how long this life is, another year, 10 years, 20 years. I'm going to commit to this for the Lord, for my Creator. Secondly, then, I've got to stop the habits that start provoking or tempting me to go down that path. So whether it means stopping at night, going to bed earlier, whether it means getting involved in exercising, activities, whatever it might be, hobbies, doesn't really matter what it is. Those are the types of things I have to start doing. Staying away from bars, parties, things like that. Whatever is about to get you to get off the phone for a while, take some breaks from the phone, whatever it may be, look at yourself and say, how am I going to stop these bad habits? Create positive habits, and if you do them for 21 days, kind of that's what they say in most cases, it forms a habit, good or bad. You want to form the good habits to get rid of a lot of the bad habits. Now, the bad habit thinking, like I told you, 47 years of myself, is still there. You're not going to get rid of it totally, but you can submerge it and move past it so you're in a more positive position. All right, so thank you, Ahmed, for the great topic, and thank you all you guys for the great stuff you guys have been sending in. We're going to talk about body language and SR. I'll try to do one tomorrow, if not Sunday. Hope you guys have a great rest of Friday evening. Enjoy your evening. I always leave you guys with two things. First, every day, is a new day to a great warrior, and you guys are all great warriors. Never give up. Always continue to bet on! Have a great day, my friends. Have a great evening. Take care of yourselves. Bye.